probably a little device, L-shaped device that goes up and into the fuselage and hooks onto this area here would be a little bit better. But this is a very strong design. It's not going to go anywhere, but to do over again, I think I would do it that way. As you see that this thing just goes right on here. We have our tubes sunk in here. This is for the pull rudder. The only thing I really want to show you here is rather than drill holes to the fuselage, have the tube stick out, glue it in place, and then sand it off, we have found that it maybe works a little bit better if you leave the tube just short of coming all of the way out. Maybe 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch or so, something like that. And when you sand it down, you won't have a sharp little edge right at the end of here that's trying to stick out away from the fuselage, because these tubes don't glue very good. So if it's short of sticking all of the way out, you can sand it down and you fill in the little area here where the tube ends. We use blocks of wood on the tail here at the back part of the turtle deck. This is to basically fair in the back part of the fuselage for the tail wheel. You can see how that's designed there. On our tail wheel designs, we use a little bit different setup than maybe what the plans call. If you look inside, you will see this area right here. This is a piece of hardwood. It is thick. I can't remember if it's 1/4 or 3/8. It feels like 3/8. And what that does is that spreads the load from the tail wheel. We're using Hague style. It spreads the load of the tail wheel out to the sides of the fuselage and to the stringers. That's essential because the tail wheel post is going to be in here wiggling back and forth like this when you're turning the aircraft or skidding or anything, and then this will spread the load out evenly. You can see the hole where the tail wheel goes through. We've got T-nuts on the inside of here, 440. We had oversized drill the holes through the little mounts for the tail wheel, but that's easy to do. Little T-nuts in there, and then this is a piece of hardwood. Something that is a little trick. This area here is all balsa all the way out. There's a little shim on top of this piece. This is a little bit difficult to see with the camera, but the hardwood plate ends a little short of making it all the way to the side of the fuselage. So what we've done is we filled that area in with a piece of balsa wood, but we've run the grain forward and aft. We want to have as little end grain like we have here. This is end grain. We want to have as little end grain as possible showing throughout the model. That makes it much easier to cover. It makes it a much better finish as well. This will stick out in the covering a little bit here. You'll see that we've done the same thing in the front here. This is the bottom of our vertical stabilizer mount. This right here is a piece of balsa wood fitted. It's a little easier to see because it's discolored. The same as this piece down here. We've stopped the piece of 1/4 inch balsa that runs in the shear direction across the fuselage for our stab mount. We've stopped that about 1/8 of an inch short of coming to the side of the fuselage. And then we fill that area in with a long strip of wood that you see here, which eliminates that end grain. Once again, this makes it that much better to look at, easier to do. I guess something else I'd like to point out just briefly is we have our little L brackets are recessed down away from the soft plywood up against the hardwood mount on the inside. This is all built up from inside the fuselage initially. But after you fit it up and you get the elevator, or the stabs rather, you get your incidents set up and down, and you mark on here where the holes are going to be. You go ahead and cut that out, and then that L bracket will sit flat against the hardwood, and it won't be moving left or right or forward and after in any direction at all. It'll just always go and lay in there hard, fast against the wood. And once again, we've used the brass inserts that we used on the cowling. I'm sorry, on the hatch right here. Except for we haven't through drilled these. We've left the threads in. These are 440. They're just screwed right into the piece of hardwood here. A little bit of CA around the edges to help hold them down. Oops. A little CA around the edges to help hold them in place. Works very well. You can see our stab tube. We have the same design here that we were talking about with the wing. We've cut it a little bit big and then filled it in with the resin. You will also see inside, if I can get a picture of it, our stab tube in there. You can just barely see it. It's black. It's surrounded by balsa wood on top of it and underneath. That's not just making our little box that we were talking about for our servo wires. That actually is a structural member that we've added. What that does is that entraps that tube very, very rigidly. We don't want our tube getting loose. We don't want it flopping around. If you bump the tail, you don't want to be ripping stuff apart. So that's the whole purpose of that. Works very nice. That's a piece of 1/2-inch tube. You can see we have all the same stuff on the other side. On this particular model, we have lightened it a little bit. We haven't gone crazy with it. But we've done some of the things that a lot of people have done. You see that our little side braces are glued straight to the motor box, but we've lightened in the area outside. If you can get an idea there, outside of the motor box. We wouldn't want to have holes in the area here where it's glued, because the glue is what we need to hold the model together. And we've done the same thing with the middle brace, and we've done the same thing with the forward brace. The forward brace is a little bit bigger, so it's got a little different size holes. You can see our stick going across from here all the way over to here. On our tunnel, this is a piece of 64th, I think it is, very, very thin, light ply. We've got a little ramp or a little bumper for it to sit up against, and we've installed it to where it goes up underneath of our floor here. That is so that as the wind blows on it, it tends to push it up into the floor rather than rip it down away. As far as the fuselage goes, that's just about it.